And I was like, oh, they're partying outside. Like, take out this trash, go fucking drop off this wine. Boom, easy.
Was there a lot of people over?
No, it was just like there was only like a few at the time. It was like small because it was later. You know what I mean? This guy is just it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? They've got DNA. I don't know what other evidence. They're probably keeping most of the other things, but I feel like here, so I try to just be cautious about it for the most part. But at home, I'm pretty decent, and it's just like it's healthier for me that way.
So, like so you haven't been contacted by talked about that scream.
No, I don't think it's relevant in a court of law. You know what I mean? Like I don't see how I would be evidence in a court. You know what I mean? Like why? Like how would that be relevant in an actual court case? You know?
Well, I mean, unless you didn't hear. Well, I don't know if you didn't hear. If they wanted them to be like, "Hey, are you sure that you heard something?" Because like you'd be pinpointing. It could be like the screams right before, or while somebody was like being. You know what I mean? Because if they're trying to pinpoint the time of the crime.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, I feel
like not that you'd be like you don't like.
I feel like they have so much on this guy. It's just it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? They've got DNA. I don't know what other evidence. They're probably keeping most of the other things, but I feel like they've been building this case for so long. They probably have a lot on this guy. So I mean, like little details, like like a scream at like 4 a.m. Like it might give you like a closer timeline. But I mean, once you have like DNA and you have blood and you have like other evidence, I don't think that really matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When's last time
you even talked to the police? Or was that like way in the beginning?
Yeah, way in the beginning. And then one time they were in the parking lot, and I came and approached him, and I was like, "Yo, I also like saw this car that night. I don't know. It's probably not irrelevant, huh?"
The black SUV.
Yeah. I was like, it's probably not relevant, but I know you guys probably don't have a lot, so like, this is what I have just in case it helps. That's why it stood out to me,
Mm-hmm. And was it in the parking lot? Or was it like?
It was on the street. It was on the corner of King and whatever streets right before that.
Boom. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Transparency. Happy Sunday Night Live. My Sunday Night Lives are like boom, boom, bang. Well, Idaho4, talk is cheap. Expert receipts are required here. We're going to get into a lot of things, but take a listen to that again. Yeah, he did think that SUV was parked, on that side street because the way that it was like parked, one could think that was actually like part of the side street. The way that the SUV, the black SUV, meaning the Explorer, was parked. It was parked on that side of the parking lot, all the way up against the left, and one could have remembered it to say that they thought it was parked on the side street that's right next to the house. This was from back in the day.
So I'm on Queen, and then Queen crosses the King, and then King crosses to another street that connects to Taylor. It was between that street that connects to Taylor and King Street.
Okay.
Linda Lane. Wait, what? Are we talking about like the undercovers over there by the street that you're talking about, like where the whites are? Wait, what, Enon? Come on now.
Or was it like?
It was on the street. It was on the corner of King and whatever streets right before that. So I'm on Queen, and then Queen crosses the King, and then King crosses to another street that connects to Taylor. It was between that street that connects to Taylor and King Street.
Okay. Heard from? Did you have to fill out like a statement, like a witness statement, like a piece of paper?
Nah.
They didn't do anything like that?
No. I mean, I feel, I think, I just feel like a nobody, and I think to the police I'm a nobody too. You know what I mean? Like they're
Oh,
They're
not with that cat line. You're not a nobody. Wait, can you say it for me? Can you say it? Can you just say the line that you said? Just so I can. What'd you say?
You want to come play with my cat?
Is your cat still there?
This was an interview on March 10th, 2023. March 10th, 2023. Think about what was going on in the case. March was lit as a tit in the Idaho4 case. Lit as a tit. March of 2023. And I'm interviewing Enon Harsh, and we are talking about the fact that he was trying to pick up a cop by asking her if she wants to pet his cat. But you can catch that entire interview again. It was March 10th, 2023. So check it out. Back in the day. So I wanted to open up with this because of these.
It's my old Hyundai and posted on TikTok just to troll
Because we were talking about vehicles.
them a little bit. And now Hyundai and
Again, a clip.
It's my old Hyundai and posted on TikTok just to troll them a little bit. And now
Okay. Do you have? Can you juggle for me right now? Like, what can we do?
Oh yes. This is the interview, that News Nation couldn't get, and the questions and answers we never expected.
Good viewing angle. Hold up.
Okay, let's see.
You guys remember he's about to fight? He's about to
We can
juggle.
just turn our
He's
head
sick.
sideways. We'll get it going.
There we go. All right, I think that's good.
Let's see. Oh my God! Here you go. Oh my God!
Look at this.
Oh wow! And those are normally lit on fire.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
What a day. What a fucking
Wait
day.
a second. How did you learn this?
I took some acid once, and I was at this. I took some acid once, and I was at this this festival, and okay, let me go back a little bit. So when I was
Okay, so when he told me he took acid, went to this festival, you guys know that a lot of the people that were friends with victims, they love going to those festivals, those rave type shit. I'm like, he's like, yeah, that one time I took acid. What? Wow. All right. So Enon, where have you been? Anyways, welcome to the transparency. Thought we'd start off right, bring us back down memory lane. So let's talk about it. The defense and the state had hella expert witnesses, right? List for days, especially the defense. They had mitigating experts, right? Separate from the guilt or innocence phase, right? But you guys, every single expert that I've ever talked to in any type of case, they are hired to do a job. They are hired for a specific reason, a very, very specific reason. And this contract is between the lawyer and the expert. And then the lawyer, provides the expert with the material. Here you go. For what specifically they are being asked to do. That's it. It isn't like, here you go. Here, oh, you're an expert for my case. Yep. Here's the key. And it's a magic wand key, and you can get into every single piece of discovery. Now, Lana, why are you talking about this? Well, because we're about to ask for some fucking receipts, right? People want to come out and they want to talk about stuff. They want to write books. Well, Ann Taylor, I think, said it best. when she came out and she said, first of all, there's people that are speaking that I've never talked to in her. She's never talked to them in her life. Chris Holland came out and told us that. Okay. So I'm over here and I'm like, well, Chris Holland, how the fuck were you able to peer review Turvey's work? How did you do that? Turvey would have had to given you his work. But then you need to have the material that Brent Turvey went off of to get to that point of him having an opinion of whatever. Right? So just like when we asked Chris Whitcomb, hey, where are you writing this book from? What material? 59,000 files. 59,000 files. Okay, well, I haven't seen a single one of them. And I know that no other person has seen them either. What 59,000 files? Because let's be real. Nobody's writing reports in this case. How many files can there really be? Thank you so much. The best interview of all time anywhere to date. I needed that laugh. Thanks for everything you do, Lana. Thank you a little bit. It's good to see you back around if it's the same little bit that I'm thinking of from back in the day, right? Yeah, Tracy. Kind of sort of feel the same way with that. You know, if Turvey wanted a peer reviewer, that person would have needed to approve, needed to get approval and would have had to sign an NDA too. Holland's story is BS. Well, just because of the dynamics of this case is the story BS. Okay. Ann Taylor, I just want to put his face up there. There you go. Ann Taylor, I mean, you guys, people are writing books. People are coming out and wanting to do interviews. Well, do you guys have any idea how many emails I received this past weekend? And I received a couple text messages because people that have my phone number. Do you know how many people asked me, yo, wait, Cyray's doing an interview with the Custody Queens? Do you guys have any idea how many people wrote that to me? So I was like, well, I'll just come out and tell you guys. Yeah. Cyray, I'm a person of, I believe in people's words, you know, they matter. But back when the plea deal happened, I actually notified Cyray that there even was a plea deal. Hey, there's a plea deal. Brian Colbert's taking a plea deal, accepting a plea deal. He had no idea. Then it was, he's going to come on my channel when he's allowed to, in terms of his report gets unsealed and he has to be cleared from an NDA. Why would I ever have anybody on my channel when there was a supposed criminal investigation going on because there's a leak? I don't want anybody on my channel that's not supposed to be. I don't want to be associated with any fucking leak, you know? So, yeah. But that was the understanding. Told you guys the same thing. When he's able to speak, he'll speak, right? I just simply told you guys what he told me. Well, I don't believe that anybody's let out of their NDAs. According to Ann Taylor, nobody's been released from their NDAs. Right? I mean, Ann Taylor just wrote it out when she felt so like, wow, I'm going to have to make a statement about this because Brett Turvey was interviewed, and Chris Holland was interviewed. Ann Taylor felt that she needed to come out and make a statement. Why? Because this is absolutely, honestly nuts. Do you know how many cases don't go to trial all the time? They end in plea deals. You know how many times, you know how many expert witnesses would have been hired in those cases, did work in those cases? We don't hear shit about that. So here, let's see. Brent Turvey could have potentially, right? Well, first of all, he spoke out and he wasn't supposed to, allegedly supposedly, that I'm over here like, well, when's Ann Taylor going to make some type of a move to like do something about it? Because, hey, guess what, Ann Taylor? There's another person coming out. They've already released their book. Okay. But this book is a textbook. So is it different? Well, no, I don't fucking think so. It's a production piece, whatever. But how could two people that were hired for two totally different things in very small roles, allegedly, supposedly, because based off of what Anne is saying is that, hey, I know how I hire my experts, and they're just specific to whatever it is that your field is, whatever your wheelhouse is. Okay. Well, I about fell out of my chair. When we got to read some of those white pages. We got to see some of like the early release, and I'm over here like, wait. We do understand that people make decisions. Like in an investigation, people. Somebody wrote that affidavit. Somebody knew that the timing, or that the AT&T, the cast, they knew that the phone did not shut off at 2:47 because there were still handoffs going on. But they also knew because somebody got the, what do you call it? The surveillance cameras, and they're like, here, we have a car that's going through. It's this white sedan. But the car, when it's going through, like I know when we were reading over the affidavit, we're like, wait a second, why is it talking about that it's turning on Nevada and it's making like this loop-de-loop thing and then it's coming back around? It's like something's all crazy about this, right? And basically at the end of the day, I don't care what system you have in place, you always have humans. And humans are making the decision to not do something or to lie about something. So I'm so totally in the fucking like Mars here, but I could have sworn that the whole entire world believed that it didn't matter what system was in place, what methodology, whatever. People lied. People lied that were in roles of the prosecutor's role. People lied that were police officers. People lied that were subject matter experts for the state. Does anybody out there feel that was, does everybody understand that? Like, that's what, you look at the affidavit and you're like, okay, multiple people worked on this and they put this all together, right? And they're making statements, right? Throughout a human wrote this. And a human at different points in time knew that what they were writing was a fucking lie. Are we clear about that? People chose to lie. This was not a systematic failure. Does everybody understand? Does anybody want to argue that with me? Are we on the same page there? That there is no way in hell that it doesn't matter if you had this system in place or that system in place or this, at the end of the day, what we're arguing about is that, and we believe where corruption took place, is that people knowingly lied. Right? That's always been my stance here, is that if people knowingly lied, and it was multiple people, okay, people were okay with knowing that Bethany and Dylan, their phone records, when compared to their statements, it's two different things, right? They should be mirroring each other to show that they're one's all thoughts authenticating the other, more or less, right? No, but they're not, right? So you have a human who's deciding, right, what to write down. Do you believe that the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Brian Kohlberger is a result of systematic failure? Does anybody believe that the probable cause affidavit that was issued and all the statements that were made, was that a systematic failure? I don't believe that for one fucking second. How they're saying yes, you think it was systematic failure? How would that possibly be a systematic failure? That people, that is not systematic failure. That an affidavit that had so many known falsehoods, that is corruption. That is people lying. If you know that a phone did not shut off at 2:47 and you're putting in an affidavit that the phone stopped reporting to the network at 2:47, meanwhile, you know that the phone still reported all the way until 2:54 and some change, right? That's what you call a lie. That is a human characteristic failure. That is human. That is a human did that. A human did that. It doesn't matter what system you will ever be in life, what your foundational fucking bullshit is. If you have shitbag motherfucking humans in a system, do you change the system or you get rid of the shitbags? What do you do? Last time I checked as a basketball coach and as a golf coach, okay, what do you do? Last time I checked, you call out the lies. You call out the liars, right? You call them out. I've never read so much word salad in my motherfucking life like I have the past 2 days after I was back and not sick anymore. The amount of word salad that I've read in the past 2 days since Friday has been absolutely unbelievable. You guys, how can anybody say anybody is innocent or guilty or not guilty when the entire case was built off of lies to include the time of the crime? You cannot even substantiate the time of the crime in this case, because the information that you would need to do that with, to be able to have multiple ways to see what time this happened, they've never been. Kaylee's phone has not been downloaded. There is nothing from that cell phone. If you were only given 1/10 of something, how could you report or ever have anything to say about the entire pie of anything when you only got 1/10 of something or 1/100th of something? How do you have the confidence level to literally write about something and try to rewrite history? How the fuck do you do that? Well, it's not going to happen on my channel. I'm not going to allow it. We go out and get the receipts here. We go out and get all these FOIAs and do all the public requests. We ask people if we're going to have somebody on. We're asking them questions, and whatever question I have for you, and you give me an answer for it. I'm not just like, yeah, okay, that's okay. Next question. No. What? How do you know that? Where'd that come from? And there has not been a single fucking receipt. We go and we want to hold, like, hey, this investigation. Oh my God, can you believe this shit? Like, nobody was brought down to the station. Nobody was ever like, there might be some audio recordings, but how many of these are video recorded? When somebody says something to you in an interview, then you have to go and corroborate it, right? Where is any of that at? Where is the reporting of it? How is this investigation moving from point A to point Z when you're not documenting anything? How is that going to change just because you want to change you think you're going to change a system? These humans were fucking in emails, writing people, do not use your radio. Do not approach people. Do not do this. Do not do that. The fuck are you talking about? That is a person deliberately saying to do that. Like, don't do this. Don't do that. Nobody's making reports. Nobody knows when anything happened. And then to literally see people bailing people out of those situations, I don't understand what's going on here. The only thing that is, when you want to talk about the system is broken, is because we're not able to hold accountable when people do something when they don't do something right. What's happening to them? What happens to you when you get to have your report still in because I didn't operate in bad faith. It was the good faith exception rule. Fuck that. Good faith, my fucking ass. How is it in good faith? How is it possible? Okay. How is this possible that when a report gets written, guess what, guys? It has to be approved by somebody before it's submitted. So that means, how are you reading a report and actually knowing what the report even says if it doesn't make sense to you? If you're part of this investigation and you read a report and you're just like, what is that? Like, you approve the report. How can we have an opinion on somebody's innocence or guilt before you ever take a job. Like if you're an expert, how do you have an opinion on something? Like right when you're called, to take a case. The one thing that I love that Turvey said was that I'm not here for that. I'm here to examine the evidence, right? Exactly. Stay right there. You're here to do a job. Whatever the job was that you were hired through, that attorney hired you to do a job, right? Perfect. And you're going to have your reasons that you stand behind X, Y, and Z because of what you learned throughout your whole existence, right? All your education, all your experience, all that shit. Awesome. How come Chris's book had not one single photo in it? The only demonstrative piece from that book, and by the way, that book went all the way up to the top because of all of our channels. Because of us promoting this book. Why are we promoting it? Think about it. I shouldn't have been promoting that book. Why? Because he didn't show me anything. I know more about the case than Chris will ever know about that case, about this case. Why are experts coming to us and not mainstream media? Be honest. Ask yourself how many people bought a book from all the channels that are in the true crime community that have been covering the Idaho4 case. So let's get to the tough questions. What are you guys going to do when you hear that Cy Ray's theory of this case completely differs from Brent Turvey's theory of this case? Why is one person allowed to talk and the other person's not allowed to talk? Why are either one of these people speaking about something that they signed their name to that they would not? Well, that's funny. Nothing, because Brent Turvey is full of shit. Why do you say Brent Turvey's full of shit? Both of these people are going to violate an NDA that they signed. Allegedly, supposedly, because Ann Taylor is going to have the same issues that she had with Brent Turvey, right? She's going to have those same issues with Cy. But how about this? How can you literally look at the public record speaks for itself? We have all the photos. How are you going to sit here and try to tell me, or how to try to tell any of you guys out there that crime scene is not manipulated in some type of way? How are you going to sit here and try to tell me or any of you guys out there that the state just got lucky? and that's just one killer. It's Brian, and that it's not cleaned up in any type of way. Wait, what? I'm curious as to why we have to talk about integrity. It goes across the board, right? Because everybody's always like, well, you didn't sign an NDA, so you can talk about this, that, and the other. I just can't, because I'm like, Chris, I get it. You're not violating a gag order. You weren't part of anything. You can do whatever, but somebody gave you something, right? And yet, don't you want to like maybe back it up with a little bit of something like show me a federal investigative report versus something that could have taken all the docs, could have been, submitted out, and then they were entered into some AI shit, and then it produced you a book and you fucking slapped your name on it, and here it is. I haven't seen one receipt. One receipt from anybody that has put out a book, that has put out like of what, and the big receipt that I want to see your contract with Ann Taylor. That's the receipt I want. Show me your contract with Ann Taylor where she is saying this is what she's hired you to do. And then list out specifically every single report which you were provided in the discovery. That's the receipt I want. And I won't be asking you a question that is outside of that because you do not possess the knowledge. You do not have the evidence. Contrary to what you may say, that's a fucking lie. You don't have it. It was never supplied to you, and you would just be speculating. And usually these experts, they got so many cases going on, right? They got to do other cases. They don't have time. They're not looking at it like how me and you are looking at it. Do you think they've read any of the stuff that people can say, oh, there's no relevance in this, that, or the other? Fuck, there is. There was people that night that said that they were working a plain clothing operation on federal money. And guess what? When we went and asked for the reports, they pulled the paper. And those were only 4-hour slots. They were not supposed to be out there working on any capacity in their plain clothes. It was over at 1. It was from 9 to 1. So what the hell are the people that are right outside of where the murders happen? What are they doing after 1 o'clock? You don't think that that's relevant? Oh, fuck yeah, it's relevant. Especially when Dylan Mortensen wants to say that she saw people in all black. Why are people lying? Why is the government lying? Why are they hiding it? Why? I mean, that shit's relevant. You want to know what that operation was for? The plain clothes operation? It was for drugs and alcohol and methamphetamine. They were doing controlled buys and sales with that money. Who was working that night? How come immediately after the student murders, nobody, not a single person, wanted to sign up for that shit anymore? The state was being given $10,000 in overtime money for that year, the fiscal year of 2023. Not a single person signed up for it after the murders. Why didn't anybody want a part of that? I mean, it's the easiest $300 you're ever going to make to work a Friday or a Saturday from 9 to 1. Nobody think that that's relevant, that the night of the murders, it took place like literally the 1 to maybe 3 to 4 times that they do this a year when they do their plain clothing operations for and they do it around the Greek big weekends. And it was the first one of that fiscal year of 2023 because it starts in October. And so that November 13th, 12th into the 13th was the first one. First one. And 4 murders happened. Literally right where those plainclothes operatives were working. They pulled the paperwork. Moscow pulled their paperwork from the public request. Now, when we go ahead, we wrote them, but when we go ahead and we compare it to the actual filing that they had to turn in, they also asked for an extension to file this paperwork. In 2023, they asked for an extension. What does there need to be an extension about? It's like they only used $900 of the almost 10 grand. Nobody was signing up for that grant. Nobody wanted to sign up for and do. They wanted no part of getting overtime money. The little cop talks that they do, that pays for that. That comes out of that grant money. Like I just said, the controlled buying and selling. Do you know that they're supposed to keep track of miles if they're using cars because they can get reimbursed with that? There was like no, when you're going to go and get federal money, you better be on it with your bookkeeping. Okay. Because you don't, and it gets pulled from you. Here, Moscow gets rewarded. It's okay. Don't worry about it. That's what it looks like on paper. We asked for the results from 2019 to 2000, like present day. Okay. Present day. And the paper is not going to match up because what IDP has, Idaho Drug Policy, that office has, is going to be so different from what was given to us from Moscow. Like I said, we wrote them and we said, hey, we're missing the itemized payments on who got money on what night on November in 2022. How are we missing this one piece of paper? Because somebody pulled it. Is that a systematic error too? Is that systematic failure because we're not structurally foundation, blah, 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 blah? No. It's a fucking liar. It's a piece of shit. It's called corruption. It's a corrupt human being. But how do they know? That should be the question. How do they know that they should be pulling that? Why would they even know that? Well, because guess who the person that did it? The papers that we asked for, they gave the 3 hours to do that. They gave it to Eric Warner because he's the person that wrote up, to get the grant and all that shit. He's also one of the first responding officers. How would he know that when this was sent in, they're like, hey, you just have to go Xerox copy that binder and give it. All those are make it into a PDF. How did this motherfucker know that he needs to open up that binder and turn to some different pages and pull material from that? Who's actually looking at the requests that are coming through the city? Who's looking at these? Who's flagging them? Let me guess. We just need a new system. No, it's the people. I don't care what system you have in place. If you have human garbage shitbag motherfuckers, okay, that are going to lie, and other people are going to help cover for their lies, okay, how does that get caught in a system? Time to take out the trash. How do you explain that we're going to write up a probable cause affidavit, right? Where we know that we did not get to the name Brian Kohlberger anyway. Nothing led to that man except for the IGG, and the IGG was left off of the probable cause affidavit. How does somebody pull a camera from the WSU campus and say, oh, here's a vehicle going, north or south, whatever, east, west. Here it is. I'm going to give you the receipt though. Here it is. And I write down that this white sedan was traveling, but I wrote down the wrong way. How are you going to say that was a mistake versus that it was intentional? How do you possibly make a mistake like that? Let me explain why. Because if I hand you, because you're the investigator in this case, here, you asked me to pull something. Here you go, boom, and I hand you a video, and then you watch it. We see the car going through Nevada, right? Which way is it going? Well, I'm not familiar with WSU's campus. So I got to call up these people and say, hey, the video that you have, I got to look at a map, right? I got to do something. No, they lied about the direction of the fucking car so they could have the car and the phone going at the same time, right? We're going to have the phone shut off at 2:47, even though that we know that it doesn't. And we're having the car go, we're going to write down that it's going the other way, even though we know that it's going the other way. I mean, and then once we got Brian Kohlberger's name, we look him up and, oh wait, he got pulled over. Oh wow, so we can also look him up in the DMV records. Wait, can't we get his VIN number to see tell me everything about his car? You're going to sit here and tell me that when we were to ask you a question how did you not know that it wasn't his car based off of, I don't know, the fog lights? He doesn't have fog lights. This car does. How does anybody say that it doesn't matter? Would you say that fog lights are superficial? If one car had fog lights and another car didn't, can you say, yeah, those aren't the same vehicle? Or could you say, well, that's superficial, and so we can't really base it off of that because you could be what? Making your car look like you don't or you do? I thought that that's exactly how a expert in the field of identification of cars operates. If they're, calling out a vehicle based on X, Y, and Z of the model, or this is what we have. Those type of vehicles didn't have that because of this, that, and the other. But I don't think I could ever say that it's irrelevant. How does somebody just omit something as material as to say, well, we're able to say that at 2:50, Brian Kohlberger is on cell phone towers that are fucking right where his apartment is. The same thing that you guys are labeling that he's at his house in the beginning of it at 2:42. How can anybody say that that's a systematic failure? I think that's a fucking liar. I don't know. Maybe those words are now interchangeable. Systematic failure, fucking liar. Woo, I don't know. Maybe everybody's, you're just systematic failure because you're a liar. But I'm over here just anybody that participated in developing, and at what point in time did you participate and help develop this probable cause? Because I need to be able to attribute whatever you found to you. I don't care that y'all fucking did it together. That's how I think it should be. You guys are working on a pretty big case. I would expect a lot of people to come together. But what information was yours, motherfucker? What information was yours and what information was yours? That way I can attribute each lie to the right person. And then we're going to look at it and say, wow, but none of y'all wrote any reports about any of this shit. So therefore, we don't know what you did because you didn't make any reports about what you did. And here that needs to change. Well, what do you mean that needs to change? I thought it's always been that you're supposed to report and document everything that you do in an investigation. That's already part of the system. So how do you want to change that? Like, the only way that I see that stuff gets changed is when you're held accountable for, like, you're not over here. Judges aren't bailing people out. Prosecutors aren't bailing people out. It's called integrity. You don't go forward with something if you know it's complete fucking shit. Right? How is there any reliability, though, in the fact that if y'all had to do all of this crazy shit and you guys are just flat out lying, but why? Why? There's bad apples in everything. There's bad apples with teaching. You name the profession, there's shitty people. But the only way that they get out, right, is if they're exposed. If they're exposed. I give Turvey a hell of a lot of credit. He wants to basically call out the fact that our own eyes see what those crime scene photos show. We don't need a Brent Turvey. We don't need anybody. Here's the crime scene photos. They have the same, I would think, the same evidence that we have. I even think that we have more than they have. Okay? And I have yet to see anybody put anything on a fucking timeline. Why couldn't Chris Holland show us the timeline that he put together to peer review Turvey's work? Why didn't Chris have his own timeline to show, or even just anything that was wrong from the state's timeline they turned over, the police officers that were working to turn it over to Bill Thompson here? This is like our timeline. Why didn't you create a work product and say where you got the material from to show that something is wrong? You think that providing us with this information, it's like, here, we got the ball rolling, now go do. What do you expect me to fucking do with that? All you did was resurface something that was written up by an idiot, okay, in law enforcement, that went off of absolutely fucking what anybody said, put it on it was not corroborated in any fashion. And if that's truly what Bill Thompson was going to fucking trial with, that's a joke. I mean, it's the easiest thing to blow up. But you had the material, Chris. Chris has the material. You know how many times I've asked for it? I said I will fly wherever to come and get the material. Like the 59,000 files. I don't need all 59,000 files. I simply said, where is the documentation of these victims' phones? In every single case that we cover, the phones are everything. When do these phones stop fucking moving, man? When? When does Xana and Ethan get the fuck back home? When do they get on the Wi-Fi? When? And you know what? Nobody can answer any of these questions. And yet they're experts in writing books about this case. And they want to fucking come out here and say that they know all of this shit And I'm over here laughing because I'm like, dude, Ann Taylor hired each and every one of you guys for individual things. And Ann Taylor, I don't believe, handed you over everything about everything. No, I don't. Sorry. Ann Taylor was hot. Ann Taylor was pissed. Ann Taylor wrote, like, addressed. She hasn't been addressing shit. But is Ann Taylor going to come out and say something here? I mean, how does Steve Gonsalves have a copy of Cyray's book? How about that? How'd that happen? Why would anybody on the defense's team think that Brian Kohlberger was identified by and through Tanego and Curtis Whitman on November 29th? I about fell the fuck over. I said, wait, this isn't true. That didn't happen. Tanego ran some query, just like how you just to type in white sedans or whatever the fucking phrase he used to pull the WSU vehicles. That's all he did. Now, one should have to ask Curtis Whitman because there's no report. Do you guys understand that Curtis Whitman wrote no report? Neither did Daniel Tanego. There is zero reports of Curtis Whitman or Daniel Tanego speaking anything about what they did on November 29th. You cannot find it. And in fact, Ann Taylor put it in a supplemental request to say she wanted anything that had to do with Brian Kohlberger's name ever touching and entering into that system in their back end. There was nothing. So anybody that wants to attribute anything to November 29th in either one of those two motherfuckers is wrong. And I will die on that hill. Because nothing could have been turned over to Ann Taylor about anything to do with that. In fact, what was turned over to Ann Taylor was here's an Excel spreadsheet with all crazy stupid shit. Just because they were running all these queries. But what was found, and this is how I know that people that are even her own experts, and when they want to talk about something that they were not part of and they're wrong, I know why they're wrong because the information's there actually that shows that you're wrong if you're going to be saying this. Pullman Police Department. Blaker is who you need to go and find and need to ask why he didn't write any reports. Blaker worked with the Pullman Police Department. They found Brian Kohlberger's vehicle before November 25th. The Pullman Police Department did. And his name was that Detective Love, whatever, Andre St. Love, whatever the fuck his name was. That was on, they're trying to say November 25th. And it was Brian Kohlberger's plate. It was one of the first 7 vehicles found. And this was separate from a query. This was allegedly this Andre St. Love dude driving around. And this is what he was told. Nobody talk about this stuff over the radio. Don't approach this person. Just drive around. And if you see white sedans that are allegedly, supposedly these Elantras, but the timing doesn't add up because they were supposed to be looking for like 7 or 8 different vehicles. And here he was driving around and he was working the swing shift. And so he wrote down, and it was already typed up. You know, it's one thing if you have it on like your notes, and so you're writing down on your notepad. And that's why Ann Taylor was like, where are these people's notes? Nobody was supposed to be destroying any of their notes, right? Where are these people's notes? Well, we just have it typed up and into an Excel spreadsheet. And the date of the Excel spreadsheet says November 25th. Well, if you typed it up on November 25th, how am I supposed to know that maybe you actually found it on November 24th, 23rd, because that was actually just written down by the time you actually typed it up into your, and he even makes some weird comment. But I'm just like, listen, receipts or shut the fuck up, man. Receipt me. If we're asking the state for receipts, which we are when we're going and doing public FOIA requests, right? We're asking for receipts. This is why I'm saying, hey, I'm going to show you guys something here. Take a look at this. This is what we're dealing with. Nothing's off the table until you can rule it out. And it doesn't get ruled out because someone says something. No, it has to, other things have to rule that out. You guys, what evidence tells us what time the crimes happened in this case? What evidence? Why the second day of the investigation did Jacob Tisdall come out and claim the white car? That he was making loops around. Why on November 15th did he do that? Because they wanted to claim the white car, right? Then what do? They want to claim every car. They are assigning vehicles to people that they don't belong to, right? Fuck, these people think that the 424 car guys leaving is the 429 car. That's fucking nuts to me. That ain't the same car. The cops were trying to say that the person that left at 424 came and petted her cats, fed her cats, checked on her cats. That vehicle was sitting there until at least midnight. So she must have been getting with her cats for 4 hours. Because you know why, guys? Because they were going after the killer on foot. They believed that the killer was Jack DeCore, and he was on foot. And so they needed it to say that we have to have all these cars accounted for because they believe that the killer was on foot. Because they wanted Jack DeCore. They said Jack DeCore did this. Why is somebody claiming to be in a plainclothes operation and doing something until at least 4 o'clock in the fucking morning when they're not supposed to be, when they were only working 9 to 1? Who works and doesn't get paid? Who paid Jacob Tisdall and Nate Rosie from 1 a.m. until 4 a.m.? Who paid them? Why are those records pulled from the FOIA request, from the public records request, in a binder that Eric Warner would have no, like, How does he know to go in there and pull those out? How come 2 years before this case, there was another case in Bonners Ferry, Idaho, 2020, where almost the same exact thing happened, where a white truck was allegedly circling around the crime scene. And a motive that would come forward that, like, this is a complex case. You know, there's a murder for hire case. First of all, when a husband is shot and killed and he's talking on the phone to his alleged wife at the time, it's pretty convenient, don't you think? Exactly, Katie. It's the same playbook over and over and over. It is. And just like in that case in 2020, it's the same officers, the same people from Idaho State Police, the same people from this task force and CDA, the Ed Jacobsons of the world. These absolute idiots. And it's just like a reoccurring theme. And it's just like, well, when these people are just like, nothing happens to them. They just go about it. Hey, you're just going to get another case. Here's another case. Here's, go do what you did in the last case. Here you go. You guys, these people didn't just make a mistake. They were omitting in 2020. They're looking at surveillance cameras and they're supposed to be documenting when things are happening in chronological order. They're purposely not writing certain things in because when you do it truthfully, it then completely discredits the eyewitness testimony. The last patient that's saying, I left, and when I left with my, brother, we couldn't leave out the right way because there was a white truck there parked there blocking us. So we had to go back around this way. You guys, that never happened. The person that is saying that there was a white truck blocking them to leave, she's lying. Because how do we know that? Because you watch the surveillance camera and you see that the white truck comes a minute and 30 seconds after that fucking hoe drove away. Then the white truck comes and parks and does exactly what that hoe said that it did just earlier. And then you just have to ask yourself a very simple question, which is, how does she know that a white truck would eventually come and do that if she already left in the car? Wait, there was two of them there? Oh, probably one of them didn't leave. And she actually saw what she saw because she's still there. Say it ain't so. That's how. How does an investigator make a spreadsheet and is writing in every time they see a car leave and every time a car comes, and then just happens to omit that very, very important information, which was, oh, wait, we're just not going to put on the spreadsheet when Eldora leaves because it will actually come before the white truck arrives. Her leaving, and then we're going to have the next line showing that the white truck then comes. So we can't talk about what time Eldora leaves. So just omit that. Do you guys think that's a systematic thing, or is that a shitbag thing? That is a liar. That is a corrupt motherfucker. But the question should be is, why are you lying? Why aren't you just asking yourself a very simple question, which is, I need to go talk to that witness again? Because what she just told me, she should not have any knowledge of because she already left. But then why don't you listen to what the eyewitness said, what happened when he said, oh, after I heard the gunshots, I see this guy dressed in all black with a beanie on, with a silver vest on. Funny, Eldora Gaucho records her brother in Dr. Drake's office playing a ukulele with all black, a beanie on, a goatee, and a fucking silver gray vest. He is dressed identical to what Isaac Funderburg says that he saw. Not some white 63-year-old male that can't even fucking walk named Dr. Moore. But wait a second. If Isaac Funderburg saw this, it had to have been before that guy got out of the area. And according to him and his sister leave at 7:17. Jennifer Drake takes a phone call with her husband allegedly at 7:17 to 7:26. How? That would have been after the gunshots. I mean, this was the easiest case to put together and to realize that, oh, wow, what did they do? It was a staging. He was killed earlier, made it seem like stretched out his life longer. How? By saying you're on the phone with him for that extra 9 minutes when you weren't. Eldora Gatchel made that phone call. Then she leaves in the Pilot. Her brother stays behind. It's clear as day. And they had a different vehicle there. There was another vehicle. Then they all meet up at the Super One market. And then they get out of Dodge. These are the same people that investigated the Idaho4 case. And I'm saying, what's gives here? Like, why would they ever protect a woman that planned a hired hit on her husband, right? Well, she got paid $1 million in 20 days from a life insurance policy. Okay, but why would the cops ever help? Like, fuck that. Like, cops, like, look at the Corey Richardson case. I mean, women left and right are getting arrested, you know? What's different here? Well, I'm going to tell you what's different here. When the motive is wrong, your purpose is wrong. So when you have the wrong motive, you're going to have the wrong person. Yeah. So why would the cops ever want to help somebody get away with killing, well, who was Brian Drake to the cops? Why was Brian Drake killed? Because he was a cheating bastard of a husband? Or was there more to the story? Or was Brian Drake a confidential informant with the cops? And was he helping run the drugs in and out of town through Coeur d'Alene, through Sandpoint, all the way up to Canada? What's Eldora Gatchel do for a living? Why would her and her, like, who else was in the area? What's Brian's phone doing? Why is a guy that is a local known meth dealer calling Brian Drake's phone at 7:47 and 7:48? Has that person never called his phone any other time after the shooting? This isn't just some, why would the police help Jennifer Drake get away with this when it's just so obvious? And then Jennifer Drake's lying. She's lying about placing a 911 call. There's no fucking records of her ever calling 911 from her cell phone at that time. It does not register in Kootenai County. It doesn't transfer 3 times. It originates on a cell tower that's right outside of Sandpoint. Lana, how come none of this is coming to light? Because nobody will fucking cover it. I don't know why. Well, we're going to try to bring it to light. But this is to me, this is corruption. This is what's going on here? These are the same people that did the Idaho4 case. They're in the same roles. Van Leuven, not trying to find out anything. When was the last sighting of Ethan? Ridiculous. Absolutely. To hear Chris Holland say he has no idea when Ethan and Xana came home, then just shut the fuck up. Then how are you peer reviewing anything? How do you peer review that? How does nobody know that? Don't these kids have Wi-Fi? What time did they get on their Wi-Fi? Won't your phones automatically kick onto Wi-Fi? I mean, goddamn. It just... Just because the police say something, it doesn't make it true. Just because a witness says it doesn't make it true. But I'm just so sick and tired of hearing that there's just these mistakes, that people are just like, it's a mistake. Fuck that. Okay? Fucking somebody without a condom when you're drunk, that's a mistake. This shit is deliberate. Or they fucking suck and they need to go. But I'm done. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted in the fact that there's 20 some experts from probably both sides of this case. Okay. And that I cannot for the life of me find a case where anybody's ever said, here, if you're going to talk about it, what did you receive? Why do you think you know what you're talking about? I don't care if you're an expert. I do not care about that label. What material did you have? Period. That's all I care about. What material did you get? And then you're going to prove it. Or shut the fuck up, because I don't care. Because I sit here and I show you all the material that I get. And this is why I think something, or hey, maybe we should look at this. Hey guys, take a look at this. Why would this happen? Blah, blah, blah. You know, here. This isn't about, you want to talk about a system? I just want to talk about shitbags. Because everyone's always going to think that they can do something better or they have a better way of doing it. But at the end of the day, you win championships because of the fucking people that you have. The people. Your moderators, the people that you have in your orbit is why you are successful in life or why you won't be successful in life. That is never going to change. People. People. People matter. And it ain't never going to change. Look at what is getting exposed in the Karen Reed case. Look at Michael Proctor as a fucking human being. You think people like that should have an ounce of power? An ounce of power. I don't think people like that should procreate. I don't think like people like that. I mean, God, that says way more about your fucking parents than it'll ever say about you, man. But you don't think that something like that, somebody's mindset who behaves and who thinks like that, dude, go pick up the trash and drive around as a garbage person. But see, they're the type of people though that wherever they go, they're just a corrupt human being. Then that shit, you just have to remove them. You remove them. You put different people on the investigation right after 4 students were found dead, you changed the personnel. People looked the other way in this case. People knew right from wrong. And writing a book saying that it's a systematic failure and that the people in this case were not corrupt is disgusting, is a lie. It's a flat out fucking lie. Okay. Nick Balance lied. Ashley Jennings lied. Payne lied. Blaker lied. Every single person lied that had anything to do with investigating the case in Brian Kohlberger. To make excuses for those shitbags, I have no words for that. So when I see and I read that what happened in the Brian Kohlberger case is a systematic failure and it was not because of any of the people that were investigating that case or in investigative roles, I'm disgusted. I am thoroughly disgusted. So get prepared, because that's what you guys are about to read. I puked. Over what I read this past weekend. This is corruption. If IgG is so good, which I believe it's a very good tool, the people that made the decisions in this case, whenever they made them, and there was tons of them made, to do the opposite of what they were supposed to do as humans in their roles, by you saying that's a systematic failure, I disagree. That's a personal failure, and it's on a level that's just these idiots have done it before, and it was 2 years ago in 2020. These idiots did it again in 2022. And if it wasn't just if Moscow Police Department was actually serious about the programming that they could have went out and got that financing for through the grant, the money, and they actually use it as a way to truly know of what's going on in the community and to truly keep the community safe and what have you, instead of using it as a tool for them to just all potentially create it for more of an unsafe environment by you guys start having a CI tattletale program going on and using the students to do buys and sales and shit like that. How come we don't know that could have potentially led to what happened that night? You guys are hiding it. What are you hiding? If you only hide things that what? Ridiculous. Pathetic. It's not their place to hide anything. Like, who are you? Like, we, the people, demand that that's not going to take place. And so we have to ask the tough questions. And when we just accept answers without receipts, we are just allowing it. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I think I do a pretty good job of growing people as it is. But you want to fucking come on my channel? Or maybe it's why actually people kind of don't want to come on my channel. They're like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get away with that on Lana's channel. Oh, she knows the case. She knows the case. I can't go and talk about this on Lana's channel because she knows the case. She's going to call me out. That's what I think. I'm not going to be able to just say something on my channel. I'm going to be like, yo, that sounds great. Fuck no. Fuck that. People can have opinions all day, but now when you're going to come around and try to say like, this is the nuts. Ann Taylor has gotten ambushed like I've never seen a lawyer get ambushed before. Four kids died. One guy had it, and one guy's life was on the line. And it was supposed to be his hands, or his life was going to be in the hands of, jury. And, yeah. No. Yeah, usually when I talk about a case, I try. This case, I've started from the absolute beginning, and I've personally asked for Chris Wickham to give me things. I said I will fly to go get them. There's been no effort whatsoever to get me or anybody else that it was all this hype about, here, I can't wait to give somebody, or can't wait for someone to get the... Fuck all that, man. Where is all that shit? Where is any of that? You want to talk about Dylan's fucking diary? Produce it. There's about to be a huge explosion. Look at my this is going to be a first for us here, okay? We're about to see an implosion happen. People that were hired to be experts and be professionals. There's about to be an implosion that's about to take place. We're about to see defense experts go at each other and call each other out. That's what's about to take place. And I think it's absolutely crazy. Like, wait, what the fuck? Yeah. Do you guys have any idea what's coming? That's what's about to take place. People on Brian Colbert's defense side, it's about to be a big implosion. Why? Like nothing I've ever seen is coming. Well, because Chris's book, to me, he is writing it and he did write it, but it is the work of somebody else, right? It's somebody else that felt all these type of things. Here, I'm going to give you the material. Go ahead and write it, basically. That's how it looks to me. I think they use the term ghostwriter, whatever. I don't give a shit. But it basically says that this was not done by one person, multiple people, right? This was a cleanup. This didn't happen that amount of time. I'm convinced of that just because I'm not an idiot. Okay. Xana fought her fucking ass off in that room. Fought her ass off. That room, you're not walking out of that room, right? And right after when they want to say this happens at 4:17 and somebody's in a vehicle and driving away at 4:20. Sorry. You can get all the way fucking bent. I'm not buying that. You can. Go right ahead. If I'm a juror, absolutely not. That makes, you want to talk about common sense? That is illogical to me. Sorry. So if you want it to be one person, oh, you're going to have to show me that they were there a hell of a lot earlier and that they had the opportunity, the means, blah, blah, that this could have been over a course of however much time, whatever. How is the blood not from upstairs into that other room? Any of the victims? Bye. But what we're about to see is we're about to see somebody come out and say, hey, Turvey sucks. You're horrible. You're spewing nothing but crap. And Brian Colbert is the only person that did it. He's the dude. And enough of this. Well, by God. What? I have no... One person, it is Brian Colbert. He did it. But the investigation is absolute shit. And we need to overhaul a system. Because of this case, we need to do a complete overhaul. And we have to have a new methodology to take on cases because of the digital world and because of, but hey, all these people lie their faces off, but we should believe this investigation, even though every single person lied. That's what's coming. Brent Turvey world versus Cyree world. They're colliding. And I'm over here like, I cannot fucking believe what the hell is about to happen. I can't believe it. There must not have been any round tables with all these experts in a room talking about this case and like strategizing for this case. If that is, if you have two, oh, people are like, no way. Oh yeah, it's coming. Oh, it's coming. I'm just like, what the fuck? Guess we are getting a peek at why BK took the plea deal? Absolutely not. That's actually what we're not getting. Actually, we're actually going to get for the first time, we're going to be told that Bill Thompson lied his ass off again. Ann Taylor didn't ask for no plea deal. Bill Thompson came with that shit. That's going to come out. I mean, at the end of the day, what's hilarious is it doesn't matter what's being said, you guys. It's like, what information are you gauging this off of? Because nothing that those people did in this investigation is worth a damn. Is worth a damn. We're supposed to just believe, you guys. It doesn't. I don't care. This is it. It's not victim blaming. There wasn't a 911 call for 8 to 9 hours, potentially longer if this happened earlier, right? It's a lie. Bethany called Dylan, you guys. Dylan didn't call Bethany. That's a huge, like, very important point. The lies that were allowed to happen in front of the grand jury and be pushed as fact, that's unbelievable. That isn't a systematic failure. That's a fucking corrupt motherfucker. Period. Woo! Like, you're a lying piece of shit. That is not systematic failure. How could you ever put forth anything? I mean, you're handing people so much like power, and we're trusting that they're going to be honest, right? The moment that there's even an ounce of like thought they could have lied about something, that needs to be what? That needs to be exposed. Not given an excuse that it was a systematic failure. No, I'm sorry, I just disagree. But so when is this going to happen? Well, I guess when you guys start getting your copies of all your books. I want to see what everybody that's saying that I talk to, and, oh, wow, here's what Brent Turvey has to say. He has got, all this background, blah, blah, blah. Well, he's about to get faced smack. So I'm curious. I feel bad for Ann Taylor. I couldn't imagine that she, I don't know. Like, you guys, 4 people were murdered. 1 person's life is on the line, right? That's all it should ever be about. And everybody at every point, it's only been about careers, I feel like. The truth should just be the truth, whatever it is. But you can't get to the truth when people are lying, right? Or we can eventually get there, but we have to show that people lied, right? And that not only did maybe witnesses lie, and there's also reasons that some people lie. Maybe they don't know the right answer and they just saying something, they wanted to insert themselves. They're pathological liars. They just lie about whatever. But when it comes to people that are working the case, everybody and their mother knew that phone did not shut off at 2:47 that does what they do for a living, like a Nick Balance. But if you want to give Nick Balance a pass and say that it's not his fault and that this was systematic error, well, I think you're a pussy. That's what I think. Because it's not systematic error. He lied. And he was about to lie under oath. I don't give people passes like that. Can you get both of them on your show together? That's how I think it should happen. I think that two grown men should call it out like that. That's what's going to happen. But I just got no time. I have a shit ton of questions for people, but I'm not going to ask questions of people that don't have the answers based off of. I need to know the material. What were you provided? What were you truly asked to do in this case? What was the only thing that you were asked to do in this case? How often would you meet with the other, experts? Because that isn't something that happens. How do I know this? Well, like Dan and Karen Moore's false confession expert wasn't like, he just did his work. He wasn't consulted or brought in like in investigating, hey, this is this like timeline. Hey, look at this report. Like, it's fucking nuts. Like, that just doesn't happen. They're there specifically to do their job. And Ann Taylor had her criminal researchers. She had her investigators, right? And that's who she's doing her work with. Remember when Brent Turvey told us that Ann Taylor knows this case inside and out? And that's why he got so much respect for her, because wow, she like knew this case, right? Well, I think that I would have a lot to say about her criminal researchers. But maybe she didn't know the case as well as, they thought. Because if nobody is seriously questioning the time of the crime, then fucking A. You don't know when Xana and Ethan even got back. If you're not questioning Molly McMichael and everything to do with that DoorDash order, I don't care if it says that it was dropped off at that time. That's when a button's pressed. Who gives a shit? Look in more towards the 2:51 time frame. Look between that. What was Molly doing at 2:51? Why are the people at Jack in the Box saying that Molly not only ordered the DoorDash order, but also delivered it? And that's pretty weird. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? Molly and her people are working for they sell and buy fucking drugs, man. They're using DoorDash as like a cover for them to be able to drive all over and probably buy and sell drugs. People, hello. I mean, damn. We have a cop on a body-worn camera saying that. There you go. There we go. I guess when you are trying to sell products and services to law enforcement, you can't piss off law enforcement. Yeah. Yeah. You guys, if somebody's willing to lie and write stuff in a probable cause affidavit, right? And about all these different things about that 18 pages, and just it's saturated with bullshit. How the fuck you need to take 10 steps back and say, let's start this case all over and show me actually here. Come out and talk about how would you have investigated from jump? And if these people all know how to do it that way, why don't you ask yourself, why didn't they? And I don't want to hear this mumble jumble word salad that people aren't up with the times of how fast the digital blah, 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 blah. I don't want to hear that shit. I want to talk about human actual error versus lying bastards. Because at the end of the day, unless we're going to start talking about AI writing up shit, where do they get the information from? You have to input it somewhere, It's all bullshit. And so I see Steve's frustration, because I think Steve is highly frustrated at the fact that he thinks everybody is out there attempting to make money, right, in some type of capacity off of the death of his daughter, Maddie, and the rest, Ethan and Xana. If you truly could tell yourself that you would not be pissed about that, you're a liar. You are a liar. You're an absolute fucking liar. You as a parent should be pissed about that. Now, if you make money off of the simple fact that, hey, you're covering something, and on my YouTube channel, yeah, definitely, it makes money, absolutely. But exploiting, there's two different things. And so you would be pissed if you were a parent and you felt that people were exploiting your children, your dead, murdered children. And if you wouldn't, then you're an idiot. But you would. And if you want to lie to yourself, go ahead and keep lying to yourself. I don't think an expert in a case, when they're hired to come on for something, they should not be making any statements about anybody's guilt or innocence. If they were hired to come onto a case where their unbiased professional opinion is asked for. That's my opinion. And I have no idea how, as an expert, I could ever have an opinion about a case that I didn't know anything about, didn't have the paperwork yet. But I don't think I would ever be writing somewhere where I said that before I ever even got anything, my gut told me that Brian Kober was guilty. I don't know. I don't think I would ever write that. I could definitely make statements like, hey, I wasn't hired for the innocence or guilt of a client. I'm hired to look at the evidence or the lack thereof or whatever that somebody else did and to say, is this a normal practice? How is this supposed to be happening? Blah, 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 things like that. But that's what you're hired to do. And then I would have a really big problem with the fact that if I signed something and it told me that I wasn't going to say anything about it. So not only did I give my word, but I'm also signing something. Maybe I'd be asking myself, why? I've never been asked to sign something like this before. Why am I being asked to sign something like this? I've never been asked to sign something like that before. Maybe I would have never taken the job because you're asking me to do something that I think is, I'm not signing this because what do you mean I can't talk about anything until you release me from some NDA? What the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, that's a very bizarre thing. I've never been asked to do that before. Maybe I should think about this. Maybe I shouldn't take it because of something like that. But I definitely don't think that people should be throwing stones when they live in glass houses. Because if Brent Turvey violated his by talking, I don't see how, anybody that would be an expert to talk right now after Ann Taylor has come out and said that she has not released anybody from their NDA, then you'd be no different. And then let's ask ourselves a real important question, which is, how the fuck could anything be off the table to ask you as a question? Do you guys know that there's a couple things that I can say about Chris Whitcomb? The people that were his promoters and himself, he never fucking emailed me and said, Lana, you can't ask me this. He didn't say anything like that to me. Never once. Never once. Brent Turvey, I didn't interview him. Chris Holland, I didn't interview him. I have no idea if, anybody that's interviewed Chris to Brent to Chris, another Chris Holland. Yeah, the two Chris's you got. Did these people tell you that you could not ask them certain questions? Nobody has ever said that. Trying to think of anything that me personally, if there's just things that I don't want to ask somebody about just because like I don't think it's relevant or I'm not going into that part of like their life or something. But nobody that I've ever interviewed on my channel has ever wrote me and given me rules that I cannot ask. I cannot talk about X, Y, and Z. I cannot talk about this. I cannot talk about that. I cannot, or, you know. Because then if that was ever to happen, then I'm going to make a decision about, and for myself to say, well, I need to somehow convey this to my viewers. Because if I was to ask somebody or have an interview and then everyone's like, Lana, why didn't you ask any of these questions? You were paying all this super chat money and blah, blah, blah. Like I would have to think about, well, do I even want to do this interview? Like what's off? Like what's out of bounds here? And the difference is here is that if you don't want to talk about something, I get to at least ask you the question. And then guess what you're going to do? You're going to come out and say, I'm not talking about that. That's how it's handled. I don't have a list here and says that I can't even go into that. No, I'm going to ask this question and then you're going to have the balls, your own balls. Okay. You're not going to squeeze mine. You're going to have the own balls to say, I'm not answering that question. Okay, perfect. Moving on. But you're not going to tell me that I can't ask you a question. I'm going to be authentically me and I'm going to ask you a question. If you can't answer it or you don't want to answer it, then you will fucking say that. You ain't a sellout, girl. You damn right I'm not. You damn right I'm not. Kim's like, Lana, you are on fire tonight. I am fucking hot tonight. You want to know why? Because it's a slap on the face to anybody that's been covering this case since day one. Okay? And I don't lie to you guys. I never lied. And so when I told you guys that Cyray would be coming out and speaking when he could, and he said he was going to come speak here, well, guess what? He's going somewhere else to talk because he needs to talk first over there because of Brent Turvey, because he's Brent Turvey's keeper, supposedly, allegedly. I have no fucking clue why, except that he wants to go off about Brent Turvey. Well, by God. Well, all right. Enjoy it. I'm not hosting you here. I'm not part of this shit. I had specific questions that I wanted to know about it's just about the case, in which I'm good. I am. This is not a pissing match with fucking experts, man. Okay, and it's just that is what it is. And I sure as shit know that this was something that we had planned a fucking year ago. A year ago to do. So yeah, all the people that were emailing me and asking me, why Cy going over on Custody Queens? I love Kristen, love Sam, love Ron. Utmost respect. But yeah, so anybody that was emailing about that, hey, I get it. I'm probably going to bring the hard balls, and I know the case inside and out. I'm going to push back. Sorry. You sit here telling me that these people aren't lying? No, that's not what your affidavit said. You were calling it out, and now it's not a systematic failure. If you want to say that it is, go right ahead, but it's not. So this has nothing to do about money. This has to do about, listen, Ann Taylor, I think, is a smart human being. And if Ann Taylor did it the right way, she's not giving all of these people the discovery. She's giving them the portions that they were asked to do. And so we need to demand receipts. If you want to talk about the Brian Kohlberger case and you were a part of it, Well, let's talk about what Ann Taylor gave you. And let's ask, wait, you're in an NDA? Then why are you even talking? Why do you feel the need to talk? Why are you breaking your NDA? I don't condone that. Why? You gave somebody your word. You signed your fucking name on the dotted line. Why are you talking? Maybe Ann Taylor has something planned. Maybe she's doing something. I don't know. It blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. And then to hear that Brent Turvey did it for more or less because, I don't know, he wants to get the word out that, holy shit, something is way wrong because look at this case, look at these pictures, look at this. This is not one person. This was done by more than one person. Could Brian be one of the people? Sure. But this was definitely more than one person. So then now we're going to hear that this was done by Brian Colber and Brian Colber alone. I just fucking can't even. And that nobody lied in this case. I cannot even swallow that. I can't even say it out loud. I am like disgusted by what I've read over the weekend. I can't even believe what I've read. It's just wild to me. But yeah, so Brent Turvey and Cy Ray have totally two polar opposite opinions on this case. And we have no idea what either one of them was provided by Ann Taylor for them to have any of these opinions. And that Bethany and Dylan are victims, and anybody that's going to be asking any questions needs to knock that shit off because it's not common sense. They were terrified that night, and y'all fucking need to stop victim blaming. Do you hear me? That's what you're about to hear. Okay. So. So I don't know. I'm just like, wait a second. Brent Turvey and Cy Ray have totally two opposite, very, very differing views of the murder scene, of what happened here. But I'm over here like, wait a second. They did totally two opposite different things, what they were asked to do and why they were brought in. And yet both of them know that this investigation was shit. It's so flawed. It's so fucked up. And yet you have an ounce of faith in any of the findings? No, not a sec. I don't have any faith in anything. How can you trust? It's like, God, look at what happens. Like, look at what's going to happen with Proctor. I mean, shit, I think every black person that he put away and he was a lead investigator on, oh my God. I mean, are they just going to have a walking pass to get out of jail or prison? I can't even believe the stuff that he was writing and saying. And then some people are going to be like, that has nothing to do with the evidence. Oh, fuck, shit. We need to take another look at that evidence. We need to see how that evidence was, dude, this is human fucking people's character. Shitbags do not deserve to have excuses. If you want to lie when somebody's life was taken because they were murdered, right? You want to lie while you're going to do your work. Why would we ever protect that? We would never. We should never. And so I'm demanding receipts. You were an expert in the case? Absolutely. But I know that you were only a cell phone expert for the data, for the cell locations of Brian and Colbert during certain points of time. So when did Ann Taylor say, hey, we want you to come in and we want you to be an investigator in this case. Here's the complete discovery. Tell us what, start having roundtable meetings with us. Sign on the dotted line that you are not going to ever, talk about this until I say that you can. Why would you ever sign something like that? I mean, these people were signing up deals. I mean, I don't know, like who was trying to get deals for to make documentaries about it after the fact? Well, how do you do that if you can't talk about it? You can't, right? So, whatever. It's unbelievable. I don't think that Hitler should have a pass for calling Cyree a conspiracy theorist. I don't think that Brian Kohlberger should have had his expert witness be labeled in that way. Right? That's absolutely fucking unheard of, right? Think about that. Unbelievable. I mean, the shit that went on in this case is absolutely unbelievable, but we're going to blame it on systematic failures. The fuck we are. We're going to blame it on human beings. And either they're good humans or they're bad humans. And what the fuck is so wrong with that? Either you're good at your job or you're bad at your job. Either you're corrupt or you're not corrupt. Either you're going to look the other way when you see somebody writes a report, it doesn't make any sense. And that you see that they, oh, wow, yeah, you went and got that surveillance camera, but that's not what the surveillance camera shows. I mean, come on. Come on. It's a great question, Karen. Lana, why is it so hard for them to admit their wrongs? They have qualified immunity because it's not being wrong. There's a difference. Okay? Like, you weren't just wrong. Because if you're wrong, you're going to you have the ability to correct it. You know who should be the person to correct it? Is the person that reviewed the material. You guys, this isn't wrong or right. This is them knowing and then writing the opposite. This isn't them just working in good faith. But Cyree wants to say that it is. And I just can't even believe it because that's not what you were claiming throughout the entirety of this case. And then now here to make sure that you have to stay all in good, I guess, good standings with law enforcement, you're going to claim that. And I can't get behind that. I'm sorry. And I just wouldn't be talking at all. Exactly, Joanne, this isn't a mistake. That's exactly right. These aren't mistakes. These were intentional acts by human beings. And who, in my opinion, acted in concert with one another. And so I'm not going to make excuses for people. But if people want to do that, that's their prerogative. I'm just not going to. I have nothing more to say about it. The evidence doesn't support the evidence that we've seen and that we went out and got on our own through documentation. It does not support that this was a systematic failure in the Idaho4 case. The documentation that I've had from other cases, especially the Dan Moore case, that case, with this case, show without a doubt that these are corrupt human beings. Period. And if they continue to work on cases, there's going to be some cases where, hey, oh, wow, they did the right thing, right? Because they know right from wrong. But then there's going to be other cases where, but should you have to guess and think, oh my God, is this going to be the case that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing? Or is this the case where they lied? So, and I encourage custody queens to fucking throw every fucking fastball you have because you guys are smart and you guys bring a shit ton of this community. And I love your guys' channel. I've come to talk to you guys off, not through our channels. And I can't say enough about your guys' grit, grind, and professionalism with going and seeking out and in writing, the experts in this case to get the interviews. And so like I said, I love the fuck out of that channel. And it has nothing to do with them at all. But ask those hard ones. Go get them. You guys know what to ask. And it's I'm just not going to play games. I'm not going to be part of that. And it's my channel, and I'll run my channel how I want. And at the end of the day, every single day, when I hit end, like it's how like I deal with myself. And hey, I'm staying true to me, and that's just never going to change. That's who I was in sports. That's who I was before my channel, and that's who I'll be on my channel, after my channel. It doesn't fucking matter. But you guys always deserve the truth. My channel name is Truth and Transparency. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.